guys, how's it going today? My name is Jillian and welcome to the Quench Life Podcast. I'm super excited to have with me today Tammy from Pittsburgh North Fitness. She is going to be chatting with us about nutrition. Welcome, Tammy. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, we're super excited to have you on the show today. I asked Tammy to come and chat with us because I wanted to walk through that feeling of our food guilt, you know, when we have a big meal or lots of wine the night before, we kind of wake up the next day like, oh my God, you know, I have to work out for 6 hours because I ate so much. And I really just kind of wanted to go like through the myths or, you know, walk us through like, is this even real life? Why are we so guilty about what we eat? Why do girls do that? Enlighten us, Tammy.
Well, I mean, I think it gets very deep, but unfortunately, a lot of us connect our self-worth with what size we are or what the number on the scale is. And that's just complete crap. And we waste so much time and energy in our lives, like just obsessing about this stuff instead of just kicking back and enjoying it. You know, if we go out with the girls and have some wine and some carbs that we don't usually have, that should bring more fun and life to our day instead of just thinking about like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Like we shouldn't feel guilty about splurging and doing that because it really doesn't derail your results in the long run. Unless you're doing it every night, that could get a little dicey.
All right.
And plus the hangovers aren't fun.
Hard to work with a hangover.
Yes. I did that one time. I went to work right when I first started into this industry, and Josh and I had been out and had a little too much fun, and I had to show burpees that next morning, and I knew then, I'm like, never again. I took everything in me not to lose everything.
Only drink wine on Saturday nights, if possible.
Yes. That's the same thing too. We only drink on Saturdays now because we don't go to work on Sundays, so.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So when I wake up in the morning and, you know, I guess what can we delineate? So I definitely agree that there's a lot of self-worth that goes into how we feel about our bodies. But, you know, like how can we start to let this go? I mean, I feel, you know, being in a women's only training facility, it's like, oh, I ate this. Oh my God, I ate that. And I'm like, well, was it good? Because you're not going to die. Nothing bad's going to happen. We shouldn't feel bad about it. So can you like walk me through? I go home tonight, have some red wine, I gorge on some pizza and have cake. Like what does that look like? What am I really doing? You know, how am I not messing up my nutrition? Why am I not messing up my nutrition? I guess would be the first question.
Sure. So, I mean, alcohol comes with its own set of problems because not only it's the empty calories, but it also affects the metabolism. But that aside, it is also something that's very social usually. So we should be able to enjoy being with friends, significant other, whatever, and having some alcohol and not beat ourselves up about it as long as we keep it in moderation. So that, I mean, that's the key for most things is moderation. The carbohydrates from like the pizza and stuff. What's interesting is if you think of the word carbohydrate, that last part is hydrate. So 1 gram of carbohydrate has 3 grams of water. It retains that. So when you get on the scale the next morning and you had a high carbohydrate meal, you're seeing the glycogen in the muscle. It's retaining water. It's not fat that you've put on. Where it becomes a problem is if you're doing it like binging Friday through Sunday, that can be a problem. So as long as you're having your quote cheats or whatever you want to splurge is in moderation, it doesn't derail your results, especially if you're trying to eat clean through the week. And just, you know, food should bring happiness to your life. It should be enjoyed. We shouldn't be afraid of it. And there shouldn't be any good or bad foods. That's, I think, where we get in problems, because if you deny yourself, I can't ever have ice cream, I can't ever have cake or cookies, all you're gonna do is think about it because it's denial. So if we tell ourselves, I'm gonna have a cookie today and it's gonna be okay. You know, I'm not gonna gain weight long-term from this. It might be a little blip on the scale, but it's all gonna settle back down as long as I go back into my eating habits that were there before.
Sure. So why don't you let's just play a game of that nobody knows. Why don't you tell us what carbohydrates are? I feel like there's just so many different information spectrums on what it is that you're looking at. So when you say carbs, what does that mean in your world, in your eyes?
So basically, it seems like people can understand this a little bit easier. So we have protein, which is at like animal sources, dairy, cheeses, that kind of thing. And then we have fats, which again, some of the cheeses and stuff can also have fat grams in it too. But carbohydrates, you've got good carbohydrates, which are your fruits, your vegetables, rice, potatoes, those kinds of things. And then we have the carbohydrates that are, quote, considered bad, even though I don't like to label those, but those are your cookies, your cakes, your breads, your pastas. And again, I think all food has a place in your diet, but it just has to come from moderation. A lot of times when you go out to an Italian restaurant, people think that's a bad thing because they have this huge bowl of spaghetti. The spaghetti itself isn't evil, but we usually get like 3 to 4 servings at a restaurant. Then, you know, if you stay into the serving size, then it's a little bit better. And especially if you're adding proteins and vegetables with that meal too.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, let's go to an Italian restaurant right now.
Yeah.
like with me, all of the carbs. I want all of the bread. Just line up the oil. I'll be
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, and you think about the happiness that you get when you go and you actually go do that. And that shouldn't take away from your life. You shouldn't feel bad about doing that because look, I mean, you look at the smile on your face when you talked about going to do that. I mean, we're all like that. You know, if my girlfriend calls and says, let's go get some beers tonight, I'm happy. It's not, you know, and it becomes a problem if you, I mean, I remember feeling so bad about myself because of the weight I was, and like friends would want to go out and I'd go get dressed in the closet and it's just like, I'd call and say, oh, I'm not feeling well because I hated how I looked and I didn't want to go and like eat food I shouldn't. Like, that's a problem because life's short and you should be able to enjoy yourself.
Right. No, I agree. And, you know, I think that there's so much self-image that plays into that for all of us. You know, I personally struggle with a lot of self-image every single day when you wake up and you see your face. And my husband can probably attest that I'm in this mode right now where it's like, I'm putting all the things on my face, like things, because I'm like, what is happening? But it's like in my brain, you're like, oh my God, things are changing and I can see it changing and I don't necessarily like it. And it stays on your mind and it's perpetual. So, you know, it's kind of, how do we get off that train, I guess? You know, I think a lot of us grew up hearing our mothers talk like that. You know, I said in another episode that my mom, at some point when she's listening, will follow up and be like, Jillian, she used to take a picture of herself fat on the fridge. So when she would go in the fridge, she would stop, you know, reaching for whatever food it was that she was reaching for. And like, you remember that growing up, it sticks with you. So I try to be so cognizant of what it is I'm saying, because it's like, we're just passing down that image and that feeling. So do you have any tips on like, how can I go out to dinner and eat my pasta and just be okay with letting it go and not saying something about it the next day?
Yeah, it's funny though when you said about taping the picture on the fridge. I remember I used to tape a picture out of the Victoria's Secret catalog of like the swimsuit model on there until my son got to be a teenager, and I'm like, oh, I can't do this anymore.
Right?
It's kind of
like, we're so mean to ourselves. Like, and you look at, like, boys don't do that. Men, I haven't met, and I haven't run into any. Maybe there are. I'm sure there are. We all struggle with body image.
Right.
But you know, you just don't see, like, your husband. My husband doesn't. That I've seen. You know, isn't pasting pictures to the fridge on how he feels he should look. So yeah. So how do I let this go? I think that is one thing that we struggle with. Is it's one thing to say, okay, yes, I totally agree that I'm not going to feel guilty about this meal, but how can I just, you know, be like Elsa from Frozen and
go. Yes. I mean, that's easier said than done because there's a lot of issues that go into play with that. But we have to realize too that when we do that, we give food all the power and control over us. And it shouldn't be that way. Food should bring like things into our life instead of being a controlling factor in our life. And I think if you have all your ducks in order through the week, and your splurge day it doesn't have to be weekend, it could be any day of the week. It's not saying that, but I just kind of look at it too, like, so I went through the Nutritional Coaching Institute over COVID. That's one thing I did. I did level 1 and 2 and to become a nutritionist and, or nutrition coach, sorry. And one thing they're really big on is enjoying life and not being have that denial and negative mindset toward losing weight and food. And a lot of the clients I work with, they have that cheat day with their husband or their girlfriends or whatever. So through the week, we're a little more strict. We never starve ourselves. That's never a thing, because we need to fuel our body, because we're working out and we should, celebrate how strong we can get with our workouts. But we cut back through the week a little bit, and I do this with myself too, because Saturdays is afternoon is beer with my husband and my family. We play games and we sit and try different beers. So then I give myself a little more buffer on that day. And again, you don't want to get so structured where it's just like, well, I can't eat a peanut because I'm at my macros now. So because every given day, these are all averages too. So you have your formulas that you use, but if you get 1,000 more steps that day, you're going to burn more calories. So again, these are all just kind of averages to kind of help us get into a system. And a lot of people do well with having that quote cheat day or cheat meal or whatever, because they know it's like, all right, if I behave through the week, I'm doing okay. And they know they have that coming. So it's not denial. I can have drinks this weekend, or I can have a dessert this weekend, whatever your thing is, or your Italian or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a place for it. Everything, there's a plan. I have this plan. I'm going to get results because I'm following it. And then I have these things. And what's nice is, like you said, something unexpected comes up and I call you and say, let's go out for drinks Wednesday night, but it's not your cheat day. We can do that. And then you can move your normal day to another day, or you can just enjoy life and have an extra cheat day this week, because it's all in averages. It's not, you don't derail yourself in one given day.
Yeah. And I think it's important to keep in mind is that, the changes to our body that got us to a place that we're uncomfortable took time. And unfortunately,
Yes.
when we're motivated to make change, it takes time, and usually more time to lose it than you did to gain it or to get to that spot.
Yes.
Women are the most patient people in the world. So it's, kind of figuring out what that balance is, and kind of holding the line and knowing that you might not see it today, but there is a long-term game plan to how this will work out.
Absolutely. And it all comes into play with sleep and stress. Everyone's really stressed right now. So, I mean, unless you have all your ducks in a row with your sleep and your stress and your recovery, sometimes the body, like we were made to thrive, survive, and procreate. If we don't feel comfortable, body doesn't feel comfortable with that, it's not going to release fat, because it feels stressed. It's just not going to do it. So there's a lot more that comes into play versus like calories in, calories out, that kind of thing, and your workouts. And unfortunately, people need to start looking at exercise as a way, I'm strengthening my body, I'm making it healthier, I'm fitter. But it's really not the most important thing, as when it comes to weight loss. It's a very important part of it, but for fat loss, it's food that comes into play with that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a punishment. It shouldn't
Yeah.
be like I have to go do 10 million burpees because I had a beer last night.
Exactly. And I think changing that mindset changes your your interest in participating in fitness, and kind of looking at it like, what is it that you're doing in the gym that can be so cool. So it's beneficial to have workouts that are, like we deadlift a lot here in the gym, and the girls, like, that's one of everybody's favorite exercises, because it's literally so cool to put on, that barbell and weigh it up as much as you can, and lift as much weight as you possibly can. It's just a cool experience to go through, and you feel like a badass. So
absolutely. And that's the way it should be too. It shouldn't be a punishment for what you did. It should be like, look how strong I'm getting. Like you said, there's nothing better than going up in your deadlift pull and you're just like so excited because you can see yourself getting stronger at it.
Right. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
It should be more of a playful thing. It's something you look forward to. And not everyone loves exercise, and I get that, but it shouldn't be something you dread doing, because you're not going to want to do it then.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that, it all kind of ties back to what your fitness experiences have been. I think for a lot of people, fitness is a negative experience. You're on cardio going for hours and hours on end, or you just have a bad experience, and that taints kind of what it is that you're going to do moving forward. But I like to tell people, like, listen, I understand that you might not like to work out. That's cool. I mean, I think that based on how the country is now, we get it. People don't want to work. We need to. So, our job is to find a way for you to kind of want to come out, kind of want to work out.
Right.
And once you kind of start seeing yourself being successful, it kind of builds upon each other, on itself, if you will. So It's
And even,
a lot.
I think even though too, a lot of people have to drag themselves to the gym because they don't want to do it. But then when after you're done, you leave, you feel so much better. And then that feeling starts building on like, okay, I don't feel like working out, but I really know I'm going to feel good after I do it. And I tell everybody, like, if you get there and 15 minutes in, you still suck and you just hate it, then maybe it's not your day. Maybe you do need rest more than that workout. But, just tell yourself, all right, go in, start the first 10 or 15 minutes. And then usually you find yourself getting into it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important to note that everybody struggles with getting the motivation to work out. I think everybody thinks as fitness professionals, you're just like, wow, wanting to work out every single day. And there's days that you're doing work or doing whatever, and you
Oh,
realize I
absolutely.
have to sit and talk myself into it. Like, and you'll feel better. You'll be less tired. You'll be less of a bitch if you just put down your you'll work out. You'll feel better.
Exactly. I know. And it's hard too in this industry too, because everyone expects, if you're in this industry, that you should be a size 2, and it's just, I think that's even someone who like us are in this industry, there's such a stereotype of what you should look like. I mean, we had a trainer for us and she was adorable and she was built like incredible, but she wasn't quote skinny, and I hate to use that word, but she was out at a function and they found out she was a personal trainer. And one woman actually said to her, "Aren't you kind of big to be a trainer?" Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, and everyone's allowed to have their own goal. Like if that's your goal to be like very thin and stuff, then no, I'm not putting that down or anything, but we're all built differently and I'll never be 110 pounds. I'd be sick if I was that low. It's just not in my wheelhouse. I just can't get there. And that's not my goal either. But, sometimes I think people have unrealistic expectations. I mean, it's just kind of, your genes do come into play with it too.
Right. Yeah. No, it's totally true.
Unfortunately.
Like think before they speak. That's all.
Thanks, Dad, for my broad shoulders. My mom was 95 pounds the day she got married. She was a tiny little thing. I took completely after my dad.
Thanks a lot, family.
Exactly. You can't pick your parents, so you just got to make the best of it. But I can deadlift more than most girls, so.
Yeah, that makes up for it, 110%.
Yeah.
So can you give us like a couple quick nutrition things that like we could be checking in on every single day? Like do you have like a couple base things that you think people should be doing every day?
I mean, there's some simple ones that people just kind of don't want to tackle, but sleep's huge. So many people don't want to put that electronic down before bed at night, but it really does come into play with turning that off and being able to get into your deep sleep. So getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep is huge. Another one I see a lot of people struggling with is hydration, because I'm surprised how many people don't like water. That's one thing I don't struggle with because I love water, so I don't have a problem with that. But getting in, they say about half your body weight in ounces of water plus 15 ounces for every hour you exercise is a good goal for your hydration. And coffee and tea and all that counts, but if you can get that in just water, you're just ahead of the game. And plus it helps with skin and like, plumps those wrinkles up a little bit so they're not so dry and everything. I'm all about that. So
Yeah.
And then, as far as food goes, I know people struggle a lot with protein because it's hard. If you're low on protein, it's not easy just to grab a chicken breast out of the fridge, right? It's easier to grab a handful of pretzels or whatever. So that's where a lot of times like protein shakes and stuff can come into play, but you just have to watch because a lot of the shakes and bars also are very high sugar. So you just want to keep track of making sure you're not getting in extra sugars that you probably shouldn't be in your shakes, but that's a good way to get some more protein in. I would say those are the 3 biggest things that people struggle with is not getting enough protein in. Cause like I said, it's not an easily, I know Josh loves the jerky. He found a really clean nitrate free source of jerky. I don't eat meat, so that's a big struggle for me is getting protein in, but yeah, he likes the jerky. So that's something you can have in the car that's easy to grab too.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think women struggle a lot with getting protein in. That's probably one of the biggest things that we talk about here. And also because it just seems like a lot. It's, like a lot of food. It's a lot of this.
It is.
A lot of that. We've been so mentally calculated to say, no, I'm trying to lose weight. What are we doing?
Yes. I know. I don't know how we got so afraid of food. I need to research that and just kind of find out where that started at. Cause like as women, I mean, the silly things that we've put ourselves through. Like I remember my mom walking around as a teenager with garbage bags. I don't know if you were like, remember that where you'd sweat?
Yeah.
like, while you clean the house and stuff. And, you know, that was her weight loss thing. It's just the silly stuff that we do to ourselves.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, that is, we should really look into that because it is an interesting question of where it started. My guess is that it would probably be through like, you know, some multi-level marketing, something or other, because it's always trying to find the quickest ways or deliver the quickest ways to be healthy and skinny.
Absolutely.
You know, the benefit of the being in the industry and also the negative side of the industry is that there is a lot of things that are just not good or
It is.
true. And you know, when you're looking for a quick answer, a quick solution, it looks so enticing.
It does. And I mean, we're so busy. So like when the carrot dangles in front of you, that's like lose 10 pounds in 10 days, it's hard not to bite on that. And that drives me crazy because like, I don't know how those people sleep at night. You're preying on people's hopelessness and you're trying to provide hope that you know is not going to work long-term for them. Your juices and all this stuff. I mean, it might have a place if we've got a quick, you know, short-term goal, but long-term, it's not teaching you anything, and you're going to probably gain it back when you're done. So it is frustrating because there is, like you said, a lot of bad advice out there.
Yeah, yeah, and unfortunately, the bad advice it compiles onto everybody.
Exactly.
You're like, oh, please don't do that.
And then when you try to sit down and talk with people and tell them like, this is really the way it is, and it's going to take a while, they're like, well, I'm going to go down the street to Joe Schmo because, you know, he can get it quick. And that's fine. But you just feel bad, you know, seeing people waste their time and money on stuff like that. But I mean, you know, you got to come to it on your own.
Yeah, and I think that you have to get to the right mental spot that you
Absolutely.
get to where there's enough is enough. But also you want to be able to do something that's going to last long term. I mean, in your experience, somebody that needs to lose 20 to 30 pounds on average, how long do you think that's going to take? How long would you say that takes people?
That's a hard question to answer too, because we're finding that people that have been chronic yo-yo dieters, we've really screwed up the metabolism. So it's called a reverse diet. So sometimes if you've been eating 1,200 calories, but your total daily energy demands are closer to like 2,000, we've got to start getting you back up to quote maintenance before we can introduce a calorie deficit. Because how far are you down are you going to go? Like if you lost weight at 1,200 and you've plateaued. So, all right, I'm going to go down to 900 calories now. And then, so you're going to have to keep going down to eventually you're not going to be able to eat anything. So some people, depending on the damage, we have to bring up to get closer to maintenance. And it's in quote, reverse dieting, get them up there. And it's a slow process because if we take you from 1,200 to 2,000 overnight, you're going to gain fat. So we got to get the metabolism working again. We look at biofeedback. So how's your hunger? How's your cravings? How's your sleep going? And as we get you up there and feeling better, then once we get up there and kind of stay there for a couple of weeks, then we'll start introducing a calorie deficit. And what the program I do is we stay at that calorie deficit for about 4 weeks, depending on the person. It could be longer or shorter. And then we go back to maintenance for a couple of weeks. We don't gain weight in that maintenance as long as we're monitoring everything. And then we can go back. So it's kind of like with exercise, we undulate with it. So we calorie deficit and then back to maintenance. And that seems to work well with people. And it's also a couple times through the year, we just take a break. We don't track calories. We don't watch anything. And it's not a free for all. It's not like go eat all the pizza and hamburgers you want, but it's just take a break, take a mental break from it. And then we'll get back to it again. Cause you kind of need that.
Yeah. It can be a burnout factor.
It can.
Planning and the learning and the doing and the organizing. I think that's why there's such a high, negative execution rate on it is because there's a lot to make it happen. And that's why, I think a lot of people look at that information and go, oh my God, like I'm not going to the store, I'm not cooking and not cutting.
I know. And that's what's so important about not selling a quote system, because everyone's different. So the big thing one of my first questions I ask somebody is, what's your non-negotiables? What are the things that in your life that you hold dear that we need to work around, and we'll build it around to get you results. Now, that being said, if you tell me I need to drink 2 bottles of wine every night, we're going to have to talk. But, like there are some things that, you should enjoy life, because I really do believe, like, if we died tomorrow, you're not going to lay on your deathbed and said, I really shouldn't have had that wine with the girls last night. Like, you have to have some joy in life and look forward and have fun.
Yeah.
Life's too short not to have fun. So you just have to build a system where you can have your fun, but still get to the results that you're looking for and meet your goals.
Yeah. And patience.
Yeah, that's the hard part. I blame Amazon. It's here tomorrow.
That's totally, all right, we'll take that.
If only you just can't order the body out of the Victoria's Secret catalog, not the bathing suit. I just want the body, please.
Yeah, put my head onto it. No, don't even put my head on it. Just
And if I can have it tomorrow, that would be good too.
Send the whole thing along. That'd be really awesome.
Exactly. But it's patience. We're bad as society. We're bad with that, of having patience with anything. And I think that's why 95% of diets don't work, because you have to have patience and realize it's going to take time. And anyone that tells you differently is not being truthful. It does take time, like you said.
Yeah. Dang it. All right.
Yeah, not the good news. There's no magic pill yet, but as soon as there is, I'll first in line and I'll share it.
I'll be first in line selling it to you.
Yeah. We always said too, like, go ahead.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, we always were joking, like, because since we do like to exercise, not everyone does. We're like, if there's a way that we could get paid to exercise in the gym, but someone else got the results for it, we'd be millionaires.
That would be I'm sure there's a lot that would appreciate that too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll have to put those two on the back burner. Magic pill.
We need to start working on that.
Sure, Amazon's probably already working on it.
Probably.
Well, I appreciate you coming, taking the time out of your busy day and joining us on the podcast. The last question that we always ask everybody is, what is your favorite exercise when you are in the gym? Do you have your favorite thing that you go to?
I feel like I'm copping up, but it's deadlift. I love deadlift. There's something so powerful about, pulling a heavy bar from the floor. I just love. And the other one I kind of really like that people think I'm weird. I love Turkish get-ups.
All right.
I don't know why. I just feel, again, I feel powerful. You've got that heavy weight overhead. You're getting up from the floor. It hits every muscle. I always laugh when someone said, "What is this working?" Everything.
Even
yes.
No, I agree. The Turkish get-up is a good one. And I agree, because with the balance and all the stability and stuff that comes kind of with that, I feel like a powerhouse too. That's a good one.
And you always know you're in trouble. If your trainer tells you anything that starts with Bulgarian, Romanian, or Turkish, you're doomed, because those exercises are brutal.
Also true. Well, again, we appreciate you coming on the show today. And we hope that we can chat with you soon.
It was nice catching up with you and seeing you.
Yes, we'll chat soon.
There's so much information about what women should be doing to stay fit and healthy, it makes it hard to know what information is right. Join me, Jillian Russo, every Wednesday as I interview women who have finally made themselves a priority. Each episode contains inspirational stories from women just like you who have had enough and have decided to make health and fitness part of their everyday lives. I'll also be inviting other health and wellness professionals to share their stories and provide tips on health, nutrition, wellness, life, and much more.